The Rant. Meet Christina and Eric, the experts in the fields of architectural design, pre-construction, construction management, fine cabinetry. The Rant, a podcast by One York Company.
Your hands are the size of my head, so that's not fair. It's like you got more surface area to.
He's got more clap. I got the first one in. Look at that. Okay. What are we going to get the episode right this time? What is it? Episode 10?
11.
11?
Yeah, I think. I say that very confidently, but I'm pretty sure.
Last time we fucked this up pretty hard.
Yeah, because I said 8 and the video said 9, bro. And then so that would have made the last one 10.
It made for a good Instagram post because then like,
That's Jeff.
You're actually dumb. No.
That's Jeff, Harvey Homes and Interiors. We have to have an intro. No one's.
Hi, Jeff.
Everyone's gonna be like, okay, first, okay, come on. Jeff, Harvey Homes and Interiors. Can you give yourself a quick little bio here?
Thank you, Eric. My name is Jeff Harvey, Harvey Homes and Interiors, contractor, builder extraordinaire.
This is true.
Self-proclaimed.
Yes. Well, not so self-proclaimed. You have quite the following on socials. People know you. That's how I found out about you. I passed you in the YMCA. Remember that? That was our magic moment. We were. Right. I was like, I don't know, wrangling one of my 4 fucking monsters.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the bromance started.
It was actually, yeah. I called Christine like right after. I'm like, I met Jeff Harvey. It was like insta shock.
I
was
who?
like, yeah. Well,
I don't know who came up to who, but I do pride myself in going out of my way when I see someone in real life.
Struggling
that I know
with
off
4
Instagram.
kids?
Yeah. No.
do my rescue.
Buddy, let me help you out here.
I avoid that at all costs. No, if I see someone I recognize, let's interact and let's be social.
Yes, I completely agree. Honestly, it's one of those moments where it's like you don't know when you never know when you're gonna get the opportunity to say hello to somebody. And I always feel like it's like, you know, when you meet somebody like at a fancy party and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Like when I walked up to like Brad Bradford, the local councilor, and just gave him shit at like Sunset Grill one day, because I'm like, because he was running for mayor, and I'm like, when am I ever gonna get this chance again? So I like walked right up to his table and gave him a little bit of like, this is what I do. We're right around the corner from you. Then he knows.
Also, you're shitty.
Well, then he never followed up with me and then lost the mayoral race, but that's his problem. What was I talking about? Yeah, YMCA. So yeah, that's how we met. That was like not that long ago, six months ago, a year ago. What was that now? 6 months?
Yeah, I'd say just over 6 months ago.
Yeah. Anyways, so and after that, we started chatting about how we could potentially work together, and so we've started embarking on working together on a few projects as our companies are evolving. And it's just another great opportunity to kind of like start bringing people from the industry onto the show so that we can kind of expand the boundaries of our
Eric's
conversation.
first, Jeff.
Oh my God. He's your first too. This is weird.
You just made it weird. Why are you gonna make it weird?
I did. You did. You started saying about the first and shit. But I gave him the clap. So,
Well, let me start by
so there we go.
Better you than me. Yeah.
Well, we all got it.
Let me compliment you guys. You know, when I first started following you before we met, you guys have a great social media presence. You definitely are a company to watch. I mean, first and foremost, through social media, you're very engaging. The takeaways are incredible.
Thank you.
And then, of course, like this podcast, this amazing Rant podcast, you guys are doing a great job. I'm honored.
Yeah,
and
thank
feel
you.
very privileged to be here as your first guest.
Yeah, it's it's fun because it's kind of scary because I want to be able to expand this to, people who are in the industry, who are builders, people who are in the trades, people who are on the, people who are on the regulatory bodies. I want to expand it to the city of Toronto because we need to expand the dialogue around what we're doing as a unique thing. I mean, like I said a million times, there's 1 million houses in the city of Toronto that need substantial renovation, and there isn't training for it, and it's only kind of trial and error learning. It's like I came at this as like a second career, and the only way I know how to do it is because I just tried and beat my head against the wall and kind of found out where the shit is, and now I've learned not to step at those places. But there isn't any formal training. You go to school, George Brown, there isn't a program specifically for the renovation of older homes in the tactical way and how to do it. We had this conversation, like when we were talking about how we're going to build out the courses for our staff, and we're going to build out project management and then the pre-construction specialist programs for our own staff. It's like there's buckets and bridges, or buildings and bridges in terms of information. It's like the information within the bucket of each topic of like, say building a house, it's like trade specific, like how to frame a house and then how to do plumbing and then how to do electrical. That's one type of information, and those are the buckets. And then there's the bridges, is like between the trades. And that's what we're missing. It's like, how do you manage the trades? How do you manage the transition between the tile guy and the plumber? Like, who sets the elevation of the drain? Who makes sure that that guy has all of his tile on site?
And somebody makes sure there's some fucking water.
Like, is there a hose bib, right? It's like, that's the kind of shit. It's like, it's the in-between things that we need to keep our eye on. And it's like, I think that's just an interesting part of our industry that's kind of missing, because you go to school and you may learn about construction science, but it doesn't tell you how to apply it, which is a different thing.
Sure. I mean, like, before we jump into, how to be a good contractor, I mean, you guys are doing a great job at educating the consumers. I haven't seen that. I see on social media amazing contractors, amazing trade companies showcasing their work, what they do, what they bring to the table. But like the consumer, who's talking to them? Who's educating them? Your guys' takeaways are fantastic. There are lots of podcasts on talking about, technical details, how to do this, how to do that. But like, talk to the consumer. You guys are building trust, not just for yourselves from the consumer, but like within the industry. I really, really appreciate that. So, coming back away from that, like, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of details as a contractor, these in-between things you're talking about, but like, you guys, your edge right now is really educating the consumers.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, and I think that's the future, and that's something we were chatting about before we started the show. It's that, like, our clients are changing, right? Our clients are more knowledgeable, and they can absorb more information, and they want to be more involved in the process of designing their home, and so they need more attention. And so we talked about this, the jack of all trades of, like, maybe 30 or 50 years ago, there was one role as a general contractor who handled the client, and they did everything. They they did the drywall work, they did the framing, they managed the client, they went home, they did all the accounting work, they did all that kind of stuff. They helped them with selections and whatever. But now it's like, okay, well, we have we have clients with higher expectations, and so we need to kind of bifurcate that responsibility. We need to say, okay, well, look, Jeff, like, I'll take care of the clients and manage them and manage their expectations, and get them through the decision-making process and align their resources with what we need for communication to the trades, and then you manage the trades, because it's like, it's way too much for any one person. Just like the breadth of information that you have to be good at and understand to do this whole thing well is so challenging, because it's like, not only is it wide, it's deep.
Even my sex tape.
There we go.
But the thing is that, yeah, they want to be educated because they're spending a ridiculous amount of money.
Right.
And, they have the exposure to the resources to be more knowledgeable at a baseline, which is great. But it also aligns with what we're doing, because the people that want to know, they understand. Like, there's value in explaining to them. So there's value in them understanding the technical complexity of what we do, because then they appreciate it. They can justify the spend because they understand it's not HGTV, it's not snap your fingers and it's done. It's not like it's just super simple and it's 5 steps. Like, most people's heads would explode if they had to do what a contractor like a GC has to do in a day to manage that many people and know that many buckets that well to that degree and be able to manage the handoffs and the people and the emotional parts and all those things. Like, most people are not conditioned to do that. And so in giving them a glimpse of what that takes and educating them, they can see that it's well worth the spend to plan, to invest in good trades, to invest in, a good team to be by your side throughout it, right? Like, it's not like us and them. It's like, we're doing this together, and it's like that Wizard of Oz down the friggin' yellow brick road.
Oh my God, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And I think the consumer today, people want to be educated. They want to learn more than ever with the internet, with social media. We are just content consumers. And so there is a need, like, people love learning right now, which is really cool. So, we have the Gen Z, the young 20-year-olds, we have the millennials, we've got the Gen X. I'd say across the board, people are enjoying learning, consuming outside of what they do with parenting, with their own jobs. They love to learn. So when they're embarking on a massive renovation, they are wanting to learn more than they ever have before. It's not just, here's the quote, pass it off, carte blanche.
And I
get
think
it done.
too, part of that is in the learning, because the intent, and I think that sometimes this is explicit and sometimes it's not, but the intent is that there will be another property, that there will be another investment. So it's like they're just set up for success for the next one because they're taking in all the information that they can, because the intention is to build wealth and to have, you know, equity in multiple properties. And
No, I
this is just
agree.
the first of something as they get out of the gate. Or, you know, so they're like, yes, teach me so that I'm better prepared for the next, even if it goes
Yeah.
well with your contractor.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, then, you know, you're better set up to make different decisions, maybe in a better capacity next time, right? Like,
What you said kind of struck me, and it's like I wrote passive consumerism. There's less passive consumerism because I think that everybody's life is kind of more on display, like with social media, and like everyone has a kind of like this window into your life through your personal accounts or your business account. So kind of every action that you take in your life is kind of a little bit more judged, right? Because more people have eyes on the situation, and so the quality of your decisions then are kind of, you know, rated by the people who have that window into your life. So it's like it's important for you and your decision making to kind of affect your status in a positive way. And with something as important as building your house, you need to not look like a fucking idiot, because that's why a lot of people get away with bad GCs get away with it, because it's like people don't want to talk about their bad experiences with general contractors because they look like they're bad investors. It's like if you invested in like Bitcoin right before it crashed or like whatever, like you don't want to be
You're
like, hey,
like,
look,
"Yep,
I
that
bought all
was
that
me."
shit. And that was me. It's like, no one does that, right? You only want to talk about your
I'm the
wins.
dum-dum.
No one goes to the fucking
Yeah.
casino and like, you know, strikes out and then tells all their friends. That's the same thing with bad GCs. So it's like
when it's going well, you hear a lot about it. When it's not going well, you hear nothing.
How many of your friends still have a Bored Ape as their as
a what?
What are they called?
Board A.
Bored Ape. Those NFTs as their
right. Yes.
profile
Yes,
picture.
I know exactly. Those are gone.
Nobody anymore.
Whoever that asshole was, like, I spent $800,000 on this. It's like, you fool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like purple and green
And
and
at the
shit.
same time, like people don't want to be labeled as a shitty investor, but like in the simplest form, like, you know, when their project's done and it's beautiful, no matter the process, they have to be proud of it because they just spent a lot of money. And they will be judged by their friends on their stair choice, their color choice.
Right.
But I find people now throughout the process are educating themselves and basically preparing themselves for those conversations at their dinner party when their close friend or family member says, "Why'd you choose that?" Because of this.
Well, and
Yes.
that's something we've always said too, is because it's like if you're going to spend a lot of money and people will be like, well, that wasn't worth it. Like everybody's got an opinion, right? Because their renovation that they did was different than they did it 15 years ago, and like that seems absurd to spend. But it's like if you're educated, you can speak intelligently to the technical part, and then they're instantly over their head, and they're like, oh, you know what? And that conversation drops, and you come out, you know, being able to stand behind your decision and not waffle and not know, right?
And you made a point about like, you know, I'd say in the past, people bought their forever house on their first house, or they might have 2 or 3 over the course of their lifetime. I think now millennials, we didn't invent it, but now we are heavily investing in real estate. So we are doing multiple projects. We want to be educated. Gen Zs, I think, have the intention to have this be, you know, either I don't think that any Gen Z can have a sole source of income. And I think millennials need to really change their thinking, and we have to have multiple sources of income to sustain a lifestyle that we want and envision and frankly feel like we deserve.
So there's two parts to that. One is I feel like in our industry or in our culture, there's a lot of attention on the fact that like home ownership and property ownership is a source of building wealth, and like I feel like that's just like something that's like propagated throughout Instagram and social media. It's like, you know, I bought this rental property. It's the guy who shows up in his Bentley and he's like, create this, and then all your rentals, and I made all this money before I'm the age of 25. Fuck off. Okay, you know, like it's crazy. I get it. And you want to invest in real estate, but it's like it's a hard game, and real estate is a difficult thing. And anybody who says they bought their house in Toronto and they're our age and they didn't have family support, I mean, like that is like probably like 10%.
Liar.
Yeah, you're fucking exactly. It's like someone helped you along the way because it's like it's fucking expensive. So
Either that or you're selling your feet on the internet.
but I hate. But hey, fuck
I
it, whatever
could,
it
I
takes.
might.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I'd sell my feet if people would pay me. Like,
Yeah, I have a pedicure later, so no, I'm just kidding.
hey man, I will listen. We will start Christina's feet podcast after this.
Yeah.
It's like it'll just be the sound of your toes wiggling.
It's called Feet
Ew.
Finder.
Ew.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just said those words. I'm so grossed out even for what I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it makes money, whatever. My point is this: is that like the point is that the fact that like So you building your wealth through real estate investment is something that is popular in terms of an idea of making money. Second part to that is that like if you think that in 15, 20 years our kids are going to be able to like buy a home, like if it was difficult for us in our generation, imagine how difficult it's going to be for the next generation. It's going to be like New York City. Like you can't buy a house in New York City proper. Like there's no way. It's all bought up.
I
So
can
it's
tell
like,
you that
we are on the uptick right now. It's like if you can get in, get in.
my youngest at 8 had a plan where they were going to buy a house and always have a second suite. Like there was an investment mindset at 8 and
Right.
was like, how do I do this? How do I whatever? You
Right.
know, now if you ask them, they're like, I'm going to just like move to some remote province in France probably and live on a farm. Like I've got nothing. Like it's
Yeah.
so funny, but from such a little age, they're ingrained to be like observing what's going on around it. So my sister is very, she's got a property portfolio and she's very investment minded and things like that. And it's like they pick up that, but that from out of the gate, like her generation is now like that's the only way to do it. She's
Yeah,
like,
there's
I don't know. What if I don't want a husband? What if I don't want a wife? What if I don't want this thing? Like, how am I going to do this by myself?
There's a lot of cultures around the world that use investment based on the amount of kids they have, and so for example, like it might be up to mom and dad to provide a first home for each offspring, and so I think that's a cool mindset now to like bring it here to the Western world, and I mean it's a really cool way to sort of set yourself up as the bigger picture.
Yeah,
That's my sister's plan. She told us not to have any more kids because she intends on buying each
isn't
of
that
her
fucking
nieces
nice?
and nephews a house. And I was like, excellent. Thank you for
And
alleviating
her
that
at
burden.
the bottom of her spreadsheet's like, we're at the max.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. She's
perfect.
like, you each
That's
have
it.
2. Like, that's it. Like, no more kids.
I've got 27 more years of work. Like that's all I can do.
Yeah, she's like, whatever, whoever has the 5th one is like,
that one doesn't get it.
no, that's
No.
it.
We draw names out of a hat. That's it. The other one,
It's
you're
a
fucked.
lottery at that point.
Yeah, or just whoever I don't like. It's like
The
a balanced scorecard
least
approach.
favorite niece or nephew gets like,
That's
you got
it.
a car.
That's
These
it.
guys got a house. Yeah.
You get a car. You get a car.
Like Oprah.
Yeah. Okay. So what was I going to talk about next? So, despite you made a comment about saying that like people may choose different lifestyles. Like you don't need a husband, you don't need a wife, you don't need to have a career. You can have multiple sources of income. Blah 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 blah. Here's the truth. The truth is, no matter what lifestyle choices you have, one thing is consistent across the board. Is
Shit's expensive.
Shit's expensive, and people are more discerning. People are more discerning about the choices that they make because they have to internally justify and externally justify the decision making around their own investment because it's more on display. And so that forces people like us who sell something complicated and variable to show evidence-based pricing, which is something that just wasn't a case like 15 years ago. Like I can tell you that like when my grandparents renovated their house originally, it was done with like Jim Bob, and Jim Bob shook their hand and said, "I'll take care of you," and then they basically just like sorted it out along the way. Where it's like now, like we go through like 4 budget updates, quantity takeoff, measured areas. It's like we have to really prove that we know what we're talking about, which makes our job more complicated and then reinforces the whole concept of the bifurcation of responsibility getting more and more kind of granular or pixelated in terms of what our deliverables are to our clients, right? So it's just like, I just...
My favorite is proving that we know what we're talking about and
yeah.
all of that, and then them still question you.
What my favorite is when I talk to people and they have fucking estimates from bad general contractors and I look at their estimates and it's like, I want to vomit. It's like, oh my God.
Like, fuck, if I could just do that.
It's like, I can't believe that. I can't believe you signed that shit. There are some people where I speak to them and it's like, I look at other people's estimates and like, they're like, here's the difference. Let's talk very quickly on stipulated price versus cost plus, and there's a big difference between those two things in terms of like stipulated prices. Like you hire a plumber and then you sell the plumber to your client for, you say the plumber costs 10 and then you sell it to 12 and you mark it up 20%, and there's cost plus. We're drifting towards cost plus. Cost plus is far more difficult to implement from an accounting perspective. Just fucking Christina's like rolling her head because yeah, it's like that was the first year and a half of us working together was how are we going to do this effectively.
Cost
right?
plus.
Yeah, it's really
and
I
not
feel like
suffocate in the accounting.
Cost plus is reserved for the final decade of a really good general contractor's business.
Yeah.
That's when people are knocking at your door. They're willing to wait 3 years for your services, and you are cost plus.
we started as cost plus.
Very difficult because you
Yes.
are just grinding it out, trying to take on jobs.
Yeah.
You've got jobs you love. You've got filler jobs. You've got I call them billables,
Right.
where you just need to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And it's like plus all of the accounting. It's way too much.
Yeah, but the thing is it's easier to justify to say like, listen, like this is the best that we're gonna get. Like here are the estimates. Here are the things. Here. Oh, I got the mic shift.
You know, I've never done cost plus, and it's because I see too many contentious relationships between consumer and contractor over refrigerator. They decide at the last minute, as you know, we're designing the kitchen, that let's just say we're going to take our $4,000 budget for the refrigerator, and we're going to do a wolf. We're going to go 17.
Right.
Well, add 15, 20%. Why? You know, the original budget was here. Why do I have to pay more for that? I don't feel that's just.
So I think that's eliminated because we do all the planning ahead, right? So
no,
like
I know,
when we
but
build,
just in general, that cost plus, I hate the model. I just see
Really?
it. I think it's like so difficult.
It is difficult, but that's not a reason to hate it. I mean, look, like
True.
But like, no, I didn't.
it's kind of a reason to hate it. Like it's hard. Naming my sex tape.
I was gonna say I love things that are hard, but that would be fucking even worse.
Also
But I
naming
do.
my
It's
sex
difficult.
tape. Yeah. My parents watch this.
I know. My mother was downstairs listening to us one time, and she's like, when we stopped, she was like, I don't know what she said.
She's
but
like, I heard every word of that. Eric goes, oh shit, you were downstairs. And he
Yeah.
was like, it was like
Yeah.
a 17-year-old boy whose mom walked in the room while he was like half dressed, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He was like
yeah,
immediately disarmed.
only a sock on. Anyways,
Here's why I don't like it, Eric. You know, especially like starting with it.
Yeah.
Pick your battles. So
Right.
now, you've just got to, it's a difficult business to be in.
Right.
I think, because you have to wear so many hats. You have to have tight miters. You have to have crisp paint lines. You have to have accounting skills. You have to have people managing skills. There's just a lot. You have project management skills.
Right.
So it's like when we're going to fight over, or when I hear about fights over like, upgrading an appliance package, and it's like, well, I feel like you should give on that because, it's just an appliance package. And then the contractor's like, well, I'm liable for it. I'm responsible for it while it's on site. If it gets damaged, yada, 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 that's more intricate. Pick your battles because at the end of the day, that contractor at the beginning of their career loves the fact that there's going to be, red knobs that they can post on Instagram being like, look what we do. Look what my brand is all about. So, pick your battles.
I think that's a really fair statement. Pick your battles, because ultimately, like everybody's kind of way that they approach executing their business is a reflection of their skill sets, right? Like you will drift toward pathways of applying your skills in different ways based upon your natural skill set. So it's like what I'm good at inherently and what you're good at inherently are different. And it's like, it's amazing because if you look at like, I pride myself on the ability to kind of like work with people and try to explain things as I see them. Like that's what I'm kind of good at. And I can pick up new information and I can kind of digest it and then pass that information on. You are
as long as it happens quickly.
yeah, it has to be at a pace. But you're a technician. Like you get things done, and you can like you're on the more tactical side of building a home, and so your way of delivering value and that value exchange to your client is through the lens of being tactical. So it's like less important for you to do the cost plus and it's more stipulated price because you're so connected to the work being done. Whereas for me, it's like I can't do anything. Like I don't own tools.
In theory, this is what we have to do.
Right.
Practicality, this is what has to be done.
Right. So on the theory level of it, I love the cost plus because it's like, look, like it's time and materials. I'm going to show you everything that I'm considering. It's every nth detail of like this many linear feet of trim, square foot of drywall, number of screws per sheet, number of like the roll of tape and how many we're using. These are my considerations. So if my assumptions fail, then I can point out where this fails. Where you're coming at this from the experience of like actually doing it, and so it lends to two different models. And it's frankly, I never even really thought about it like that until you just kind of said it, because I didn't really even ask you before we started. Like I didn't even know that you do fixed price contracting versus cost plus.
But I think that we find it good because of our personalities. Like you and I are like hard type A. You know what I mean? Like the details are like everything is about the details, and we naturally dive into that like 18th layer of detail. And so providing that to somebody seems natural to us because it's like that's how we think, that's how we function, and that's where our comfort zone is.
This is a
whereas
question.
that's not inherent for other people.
Do you think that personality type would lend itself better or worse to one-way delivery method? Do you think that
100%.
So type A personalities like cost plus, type B personalities like stipulated price?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know why
Yeah,
I'm so
I'd say
fucking
so.
stupid. That makes so much more sense.
It's like that's why it comes naturally to us
Yeah.
because it's like we need to think through that. Like if somebody said, so for example,
you know what
I
it is?
asked
You
my
like-
kid about school supplies, and she said I need a pen and paper, and I was like, okay, what kind of pen? I was like, how thin, what color, how many? Do you want a cap that's removed? Do you want it to click? And nobody else, and like there was 19 follow-up questions to this kid's 3-item list for school supplies, and the only other person I know that would go through that level of detail would be Eric. Like he's the person I could send to the store who would have asked the same questions, but that's natural to us and it's not natural to other people. And so other people are
Sure,
more
I'd say
inclined to be,
check the kitchen drawer.
yeah,
No,
like,
yeah, see,
I
that
don't,
can't-
okay,
no.
here's a pen, like whatever,
So
right?
like, I don't like the fact
That's why
that
I'm
like,
not married anymore. My ex-husband's like, oh, I have the drawer somewhere.
let
There's
me,
pens.
let me give you an example. Is that I almost started a new textbook when I lost the pen that I got to about here in. Like, there's that new pen, and I'm really actually considering removing these pages because I can't because I can't have the pen be different than the first bit.
I don't know how many times our staff has seen me pick up a pen. Like I write with like a micro fine pen,
noticed that,
and
yeah.
like the staff will like if I pick up somebody else's pen because they all look the same, and I'm like, I'll take one. I'm like, no, like where is my pen? Like I can't
this
do
is why
it.
you guys, what you have is One York lends so well to educating the consumers because like you are selling pre-construction.
Right.
You know, someone can come to you and correct me if I'm wrong, hire you to basically take their project, their wants, their needs, you know, their conditions of their site, their home, whatever, and basically plan it out, give them all the variables, all of the cost implications, the comparisons, the proof, the facts, and then say, yeah, go shop it and get someone to build it. Because like, I've just educated you on everything you need to know on your project.
But also for other builders who don't have like, if you just want to build, like you want to be on the tools, you want to be like, that's your wheelhouse and that's where you see the value is seeing everything come together in that high quality finish and all those things. But you don't have the capacity to be able to do the planning to that degree, right? So it becomes more time consuming, more labor intensive to take on that piece.
It's very difficult.
That's like, you know, I'll
That's
do
my
the
weak
things
point.
you don't like to do and you do the things that I don't like to
I
do.
would say a lot of
That's it.
contractors' weak points are that. And it, you know, it's coming like, I'm not going to say I wouldn't fall into, I'm not good at managing expectations, but you know what? It's difficult for me and a lot of others to really make people, you know, understand what they're going to get and how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
Outside of saying, trust me, we got this. This is my track record.
But you're a trustable person, so it works because essentially that's what makes that work. Is that if you don't do the cost plus, then you just have to make sure it feels right. People still fucking make decisions.
You have to be magnetic as
100%.
fuck because
People,
like
yeah, people still make these big decisions emotionally and then justify them with logic. They don't make big decisions with logic and then justify them with emotion. Like no one buys a fucking Ferrari because it was a good deal. People buy a Ferrari because they fucking want a Ferrari, and then they have to justify it to their friends and family, like, oh, it was a limited edition Barbarossa something.
Yeah, and I'll admit, like a lot of my customers that come to me direct they trust me.
Right.
I know I'm magnetic, but like I can also say, I know I have a track record.
Right.
I know when I say I can do something, it's because I've either done it or I know I can. There's accountability.
Right.
And like in this industry, it lacks a lot of that.
And there's a confidence there too, right? Like people, I think to
Based
some
on
degree,
experience.
people can tell when you're being genuine about like your confidence level, about whatever. Like you can see it in the way that the conversation goes, that person really is confident that they're well situated in that
But
arena.
if you're going to draw overlapping circles here, there are people who are incredibly confident that are also con men, and that's probably another issue in this industry. Is that like there are a huge amount of like, okay.
or stupid enough to
I'm
think
gonna-
they know what they're doing.
I'm going to draw some lines in the sand here. Are type A personalities more susceptible to persuasion than type B personalities without justification and proof? Like I would require, that's how we started. Like I started in this industry because when someone told me it was like a laundry list of items for the renovation of my grandparents' house and it was $400,000, I was like, show me how you got there. And then when they couldn't justify it to my extent, I was like, I'm not doing it. And then I literally just couldn't find anybody else to give me a number the way I wanted to see it. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing it myself. And that's how how this whole fucking thing started was there. Some people would just say yes and say that's okay, right? Is that because I'm a type A personality, or is that because what is that? Like, I guess my question is, it's like,
No,
it's like,
I'd say you're like most consumers today. We love to be educated. And so I'd say more consumers are asking that. More consumers should be asking that. How'd you get there?
right,
Give me
because
some
it's like
backup.
it scares me. It's like even like I remember I've been ripped off in the past, and it's like I remember when I thought LVLs were something that you couldn't buy at a store, and I remember I bought LVLs like through like a family friend, and I got fucking like ripped off. It was my like very early on, like almost 10 years ago. But it was like, I remember I felt like such a fucking idiot in a heel.
You know,
it was like,
as a type A, it's really hard to let go of the reins. It's
Yeah.
very hard to let somebody else drive the ship. And so if you are a type A and you're presented with a case that's cost plus, that's very informative, very thorough, it allows you the comfort to be able to say, okay, I'm going to sit in the passenger seat. Like, and then you can focus your energy on other things in your life that matter because you've got the confidence that somebody else is like as neurotic as you are, unfortunately. Like,
but that's the other point. It's like, I think that
like attracts like, you know?
That's it. It's like building a home.
What customer ever sits back and relaxes?
Oh, you know, I got a few.
Yeah. It's like, I think that honestly, it's like building a home is a very personal thing. It's your most personal space, and you want to do it with somebody who is similar to you. Because then when you have that level of trust, and I really do believe that like the people's experience when they're building their home imprints on the home. It's like if you had a bad experience building your home, then in some way you're always going to have this kind of like negative
bad juju.
Yeah, you got like this negative vibe about your house, and every time you look at like that particular aspect or that wall or that door, you remember that argument you had with that person, and it's like that experience is imprinted on the space as well.
Fucking railing.
And I don't want to make right, but I don't want to make like I look at home building like as a very mindful kind of like spiritual thing. I know that you're gonna be fucking rolls their eyes about that kind of shit, but it's like you especially like because you're like. But I really do believe that like it's a very spiritual place. It's your home. It's a reflection of your routines. It's like it's everything. It's like it's so important to build your space because I mean maybe it's just my personality, but it's like anyways.
Yes.
So if you do it with somebody who's very similar to you and your personality type, if type B people are really leaning towards stipulated price because it's all about trust, and if they don't trust you and they don't have that gut kind of like alignment, then it's not going to work. That makes sense to me. And if like for people who are neurotic and can't let go of the reins, and I want to be proven that you know it, like show me the long division here, how you got to 7. Like then that also is good because what it does is that gives you the alignment and it gives you that like, you know, the person you're building your house with and you are in the same camp, and that's what's important. So it's like almost like I've almost full shifted in this entire conversation where it matters less the method in which the service or value is exchanged as long as your heart is in the right place and you're qualified. But that's the fucking problem in this industry. Without the type A personality or approach of doing cost plus, there is an open availability for people who need to trust and are done on that stipulated price for there to be fuckery and for people to get taken advantage of. Like up the street. Remember that couple up the street that basically hired a guy who was very charming to renovate their house, and there was 2 grade 1 teachers, and they hired a guy to renovate their house, provided an estimate. I saw the estimate. It was relatively detailed. Anyways, the company was fake. His name was fake. He accepted $170,000, half demoed their house, and left.
Yeah.
It was gone. They couldn't find him, and they were fucked.
Oh, that was on the news right now. Yeah.
That was on the news.
Yeah.
That's on the news all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Is like in this industry, you can go out and start your own general contracting company. You need no designation to do it.
But I think it's harder for stipulated price companies that are starting because the thing is, as a stipulated price contractor, like you have a track record, like you said, right? Like you've got stuff to show and people to talk to and testimonials from past clients and things like that. But if you're starting out in that, like if I'm starting out and I'm showing you everything that I'm doing, you're like, okay, I can get behind that. You know what I mean? I can understand. And that's easier to sell when you're a young company, I think, than as, okay, how long have you been open? 6 months. Oh, okay, how many houses have you built? 1. You know, but I built a lot of decks, you know, like how do you, right? So, okay. So you think you're ready to take on this big build and you're like, yeah, you know, and so it's a hard thing to sell.
I feel like there's a lot of consumers looking for that opportunity, looking for that, you know, but this person's going to add value because I'm giving them an opportunity. So in return, I'm going to get a lot of value, and that's a risk.
Yeah,
that's a risk.
But we do the same thing even with trades. I mean, you and I have had that conversation working together. Sure. It's like, but like I would here. Hold on, me first. Sorry. You first. You know what?
Conversely, I would say,
yes, but not you.
Conversely, I would say that there are probably a subset of clients, like of consumers, who are looking for that opportunity for the wrong reasons also, because they're looking to take advantage of that. We had a client who basically at the end of the build was like, fuck you, I'm not paying you.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And it was like, and they were happy with everything that
Yeah,
was
like, their
done.
house was in
But
House
they
and Home magazine.
knew,
They just
they
saw an
knew,
opportunity.
well, no, they'd done it before. And
Yeah.
they knew that the cost of going to court or the cost of whatever that, like fighting that, would still be substantially less than what was owing at the on their property, on what they had chosen. And so they were perfectly happy with the outcome and the quality and all that kind of thing. And so when you have a young contractor or somebody who's inexperienced, the opportunity to be taken advantage of is strong the other way as well, because they will inherently, like, they don't have the confidence to say, no, that's not my problem. Like, no, that's what you chose.
You know, that's an interesting
No,
point. It's like, as
that's-
much as there's predatory, like,
it's both sides.
yeah,
It's dual
predatory
sided.
consumers and then
Yeah.
the predatory service providers. But that's just, it's fucked
Which
up.
you know, it makes it crazy that anybody can just start this business.
Fuck, it's harder to open a
Anybody.
fucking hot dog stand than it is to become a general contractor.
Sure.
Yeah, there's
more
food
regulation around.
Yeah, for sure. Like you cannot, for you to get a fucking hot dog stand on the street, there is far more regulation on doing that than there is to become a general contractor.
That sucks.
I'm a chef, dude. I'm a chef. My only official designation is cook. I have a food handler
That's
certificate.
why I'm here. So it's fine.
Yeah, no,
it's fine, everybody.
yeah,
That's why I'm here.
But
No.
that's fucked up. Like that's fucked up. In my opinion, it's like I'm here because, and I need to prove it day in and day out. When I talk to anybody like you in the industry, it's like the only way I can kind of substantiate me even speaking on a podcast that owning a construction company or two or whatever it is. It's like only because it's like every step of the way, and I know it like inside and out. And I eat like all the fucking time. This is
You
what I
carry
do.
a red seal. I carry a red seal in general carpentry. But you know what? The really sad thing about my red seal is in this industry, it gives me almost zero leverage. Aside from being able to, be proud of it, hang a diploma on the wall,
Sure.
tell my customers, but like,
And bill it the highest here.
but I don't need it. It does not get me ahead
Right.
in any way. I don't need it to pull a permit.
Right.
So like, what do I need it for? What do I need it for? Because I'd say more.
Where's the advantage to you?
I don't know what the actual split is, but I'd say there's more contractors without any sort of like red seal, project management degree than people who have put in this work. And so like, what's my edge for having gone through this process, going to school, getting accredited by, people who are trained? I have no edge. In electrical, you have to get a red seal to be able to pull a permit.
Yeah.
In plumbing, you have to be a licensed plumber to do permitted work. HVAC, same thing. General contractor, carpenters, framers, structural. I have zero edge.
Nothing.
And so I'm actually like let down by, our country and the apprenticeship program when it comes to general carpenters, because like, other than going to school and saying, yeah, I did it, whoop-de-doo, you don't
It
need
doesn't give you any kind of advantage.
No advantage. I wish like, even at the least, it'd be like, okay, so
I guess a hiring advantage. Like if you were new out of school and like, or
Who are
you know what I
getting
mean? Like
hired
you're,
by? Who are you getting hired by?
the reality is today.
or do people look at it and say like, you're just going to be an expensive option? Because I can get people who
No.
are,
So in the past, it has been a good way to hire people because people, they're to get a red seal, you need to join the apprenticeship program under someone who has it. So I have been able to leverage it for employees, but I'll be honest, like in the last few years, I haven't really seen people coming to the table, the young 20s, who are able to foresee this 4 or 5 year apprenticeship journey. It's like, it's too big. It's too
not
long.
an instant gratification.
Yeah.
Sitch.
So
like why would I?
it's
5
not-
years. That's like a fucking lifetime.
How long will it take me? Well, it's, 56 to 7,200 hours.
Oh
So,
my God.
I mean, to hear that, great, but like, do the math. What do you do a year? 1,800 in a year. You are like 4 years to do this. Oh,
know
that's
what
going to
kills
take
me?
too long.
Hairdressing is a red seal.
Oh, I just graduated university. I'm 26, 4 years, 30. Like, I want to be licensed before that. I don't make the rules.
Yeah.
And like, when you're 30 and you get your red seal in general carpentry, what do you have? Nothing. Like, it doesn't really do anything. I wish, honestly, if like you could present it at the very least to say like, okay, you've been formally taught how to nail a piece of structural wood to structural wood. So therefore, you don't have to use, let's say, a joist hanger in these scenarios because you have formal training on how to fasten a member to a member. I mean, like, that's one cool
Even
case.
my sex tape.
I'm dreaming. or what'd be really cool, as I've always said, is like, you shouldn't be able to do structural work or pull a structural permit or have work performed on a structural wood permit without someone who has the red seal.
It's interesting. It's like I agree, and because I like you've worked on the projects with me that we have a fourplex that we've been working on for the last while, and it's a fucking structural goddamn nightmare.
Right.
And it's like I personally lost $30,000 on this project because I hired a framing team that I made a very bad decision, and I'm openly want to talk about it because it's important. As a general contractor in this particular circumstance, I was working and I was trying to make the client happy. I was hired on this project after another general contractor was let go because his quality of work was poor, and I wanted the project to move along quickly. All of the framing carpenters that I am very familiar with, who I know could fucking kill it, weren't available, but under pressure to keep the project moving forward, I worked with somebody new. They came vetted, and like they were somebody that came referenced from another person that I trust, and then I had a conversation with them, but unfortunately it came to light that the quality of their work also was subpar. And so I essentially ate the cost of their involvement, and now lost 3 weeks' time. And now I've got the framing team there, and they're working through it, and they're solving the issue. But it's like, fuck me. It's like, it would be goddamn great if we could have a framing carpentry designation or review. It's almost like you want, like in the medical field, I can imagine that there's like a nurse practitioner who bridges the gap between a nurse and a doctor who can prescribe medication. We need like a framing designation that bridges the gap between framers and an engineer. Because it's like an engineer's job in that particular circumstance was, it's like if it's existing and it's performing, then it remains. And they can't provide direction to make it mandatory for you to replace something that's still performing, even if it's fucking marginal. Like if the floor system was never supposed to be a floor system, but is now a floor system and it's not failing, the engineer cannot tell you to replace it. But though it was never designed to be a floor system, and if you were to build it brand new, it could never look like that. But if it's there and it's there the way it is now, then it's fine, which is fucking stupid, because it's like, I was just on that fourth floor and I was chilling with Wayne, and Wayne's like, it's better than what it was. And he started jumping left and right, and the whole floor, I could feel the floor moving.
I was there the other
He's
day.
pissed. He's
No,
pissed.
I was there the other
love this.
day, and so the one of them was on the second floor. He was shaking something. Wayne's like, "Stop doing that!" Like the whole fucking
The whole house was
stop
moving.
doing that.
But it's like,
I was
but
whoa.
where does that put me as a general contractor? My client is saying to me, "Oh, these engineers are costing so much money," and like, "Oh, you want to do all this extra work, but it's not mandatory." I'm like, "It's not mandatory. What do you mean it's not fucking mandatory? If you had a fucking football team rent your fucking top floor unit and had a house party and they all started jumping and then the house fall down, whose fault is it? Whose fault is it in that circumstance? You know whose fault it would be? It'd be fucking my fault."
I love the accountability.
Kills me.
I love it. I love
Then
the
you
admission.
need to start saying no.
No. But that's what makes general contracting hard. It isn't about, it's about that. It's about, I can't tell you that my education in this industry is about finding those legal fucking cliffs at the end here. It's like, Ministry of Labor, Occupational Health and Safety, liability and construction. It's going to be the person who's the constructor from the Ministry of Labor's perspective. Nobody fucking teaches you how to be the constructor.
Nobody teaches the consumer either what that is.
Exactly. People are like, what's the constructor? I'm like, the one thing. It's literally a document issued by the government telling people how to be the person who's
such a
responsible for people
void.
on site.
According to this, with your architect and your permit, you are. I know you have you work finance or you have a restaurant, but like in this case, you're the constructor.
Yes.
And
Oh,
so
it's-
what does that mean for the consumer? Oh, so what does that mean?
Well, that's the whole point. And that's the point of like the whole future of what I'm working on. And Christina doesn't want to hear me talk about this. And I'm not going to dive into it, consider we're 43 minutes into this podcast. But what I'm saying is like the whole future of what I think One York is going to be the fact that that constructor designation is far too loosely applied and like just shouldered on people. Like I'll give you a fucking wiki. We've done a quick post about this before. It's like, I'm a general contractor. We're working on your project, and then it's your house, whatever. We're hired for 99% of the work. You hire a roofer because you have a buddy and you pay him independently. You're the constructor. You just took all the responsibility off of my shoulders. I have the occupational health and safety manual. I have all of those trade agreements. I've done all the come to work papers. I've made sure everyone has their general liability. The moment you hire somebody else on the same project at the same time, you as the homeowner hire one trade. I've hired all of the rest, all of the 30 other ones are mine. You hire one trade. I'm no longer legally the constructor, you are, because it's your fucking
And I
house.
love that this is the goal for One York, and I think for the whole industry should be going this way. It's not just hiring Jim Bob, general contractor, GC. It's not just hiring, partner and partner, reputable building company to design, build, construction management.
Yeah,
This overseer.
It's
this
it.
construction management company. And going back to like what my red seal should give, it should almost be like to pull a permit, you have the architect, you've got the BCIN stamp. Now the next step is who's going to manage the whole construction, because there's legal implications if someone gets hurt, the building falls, right? We didn't fix it because it didn't have to be fixed. It was existing, big house party, thing falls, people die. So like who is the overarching construction manager? And now separate from the general contractor.
Right.
Who is going to implement within the boundaries of the property the actual construction?
Right.
Because it's two different skill sets.
It's very
and the
different.
consumer today loving to be educated, loving to go down rabbit holes on social media, YouTube, internet. That I think is naturally where this industry is going, which is really cool. And there's a lot of great companies out there that have been doing this for decades. Construction management companies partnering with amazing build teams, and like all the high end, well, not all the high end, but a lot of high end Muskoka luxury $10 million plus cottages. If you go around and look at those, they're construction management, and then there's a GC on there.
Yeah.
And like those customers are working their butts off in Toronto. They can't be in Muskoka overseeing this.
Yeah.
So basically, they've made a decision to have a construction management company manage their hard-earned money and the schedule that affects the money.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the details with the miter cuts and the finishes and the floor installs, that's a GC company. The management company is overseeing, making sure that all of that is done, the expectations are met for the customer not to have to be there.
But this, okay, look. So now we got a little bit longer, maybe like 5 more minutes. But like I want to wrap it up kind of soon. But this is something that like I'm near and dear to my heart. Not everyone can afford quality management, and that's the fucking problem. Like we're fucking expensive. We're expensive because of the opportunity cost of our time. And the real issue is that like we're only involved with projects on a pre-construction basis because we offer it one way. We do all the design, all the architectural design, all the engineering consultants, all of the communication with the city, all of the fucking interior design, cabinetry design, all of the shopping with our clients to make sure that the selections can then be folded in, all the construction sets, and then all the construction management. That's how we do it. It's 50 grand starting. That's it, right? And it's most effective for projects that are $500,000 or more based on the premise that it's 10% of the cost of construction.
Expensive is relative.
So then what the fuck do you...
Yeah, like what is the cost of getting it
Yes,
wrong?
but the
What
problem
does
is...
the value that gives you?
Well, the value, but that's not it. But the problem is it's like not everybody's doing a $500,000 renovation. What about everybody else? Like, what about the people who are doing $250,000, $300,000 renovations? Who are they going to? You're going to a mom and pop's Jim Bob. You're going to a smaller person who's not going to give you the information, but you can still get fucking killed on a $300,000 job, both financially and physically. And so that's the missing servership. Like we are missing something in and the building department not fucking helping you. Here, I'll give the building department a really fast way. And I was going to tell this to what's his name, the Brad Bradford. When I said to him, like, you want to make money in the city of Toronto? Let me tell you how. Every time you submit a building permit, force a quantity takeoff on market value of the materials for everything that's shown as proposed. And give that to somebody as the person who's receiving the building permit as a baseline to understand what the fucking cost is going to be so they don't get ripped off by assholes saying that they know what they're doing. That's super simple. It can be done immediately. You would have an outsourced team to fucking rip that out. Hire us. God damn it. We already have all the quantity takeoff software and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, it just makes me frustrated because it's like, if you have a lot of money, of course, then you can do construction management. You can have a general contractor. But the thing is, the only way that we, as like the people who need to change this, because nobody else is fucking trying, what we're going to do it is by building processes, by making our more inputs, like create a function so a lesser value of input creates a greater value of output. And that's what we've been doing for like, I don't know, the last 4 years. But it's financially difficult, it's emotionally challenging, and technically almost near impossible. And it's like what we've done now, it's like partnered with you, Jeff, and we're trying to find other people who we can like kind of almost both of us work for less by splitting what we can get from our clients so that they have a better service. But it's almost like we're doing it for us, not for them. Doesn't it feel like that sometimes where it's harder to justify a higher price point and we're willing to work with less because we know it's better off for the client? There's less.
No fucking way. You're better. You. Not me. I'm
you're
like, fuck
focusing on your
you. My
strengths.
hours are valuable.
Yeah.
It's a lot of my mental fortitude to get through the day, through the week. When I'm not sleeping at night because something has gone wrong or you don't understand something or like whatever that stressor is, like, no. Like, you can pay for my time. And like, you're a bleeding heart. And that's the difference. And that's where this is very different because Eric is like, the people. And I'm like, you know what? People will find other people to build. But like, we are building something and there's an objective. And unfortunately, like, I'm not interested in 80-hour weeks for the duration of my lifetime. I'm not interested in going to bed or losing sleep because we're overstretching to work with people who don't really fit the parameters. Like at the end of the day, it is also a business.
Yes, I know, and Christina kills me because it's like I'm not a very a businessman. I do own the business, but it's like I'm not a good businessman. Christina's a better businessman than I am.
Give you guys
Businesswoman.
credit. You guys are great.
But it fucking kills me. And it's like, the thing is, I love working with you, Jeff, because you're equally passionate. When I hear you talking to your trades and like you're high-fiving people and you're creating that like team mentality, that's what this fucking industry needs. It's like, someone who's gonna lead us, someone who's gonna be responsible, someone's gonna be like, like the quality of work. When I walked onto your first job site, it was fucking organized, and Taylor was there, and it's like everyone's got this camaraderie. It's like, yeah, man, that's what we need in our industry. We got to bring that passion back.
I think Taylor was sick that day.
But even Taylor on a sick day is better than most days.
It was Paige.
Taylor was never been sick.
Sorry, fuck. Was it Paige?
Yeah.
Oh man. Also, women in construction industry. It's like you got great women working for you.
You know why he's great? Women are great at construction, and as much as this
Multitaskers.
is like a guy's industry for the most part, still, like, I have never seen, like, I see the most efficient multitasking, and I'm going to say this, and it can upset whoever it's going to, from women.
Yeah,
we are
that.
conditioned from like children to tackle multiple things at once.
Yeah, I'm good at one thing at a time. That's basically it.
Yeah.
That's
And it's like your project manager, like they're females, like
Yeah.
they're whatever, but like they're on it. You know
They're
what I mean?
so on it.
Men are series, women are parallel.
Yeah.
It's like you can like complete tasks. Like for me, I'm really good at series. Like I could build you a logic. Like everything I draw, it's like
One, two,
it's
three,
like
four.
in this order I will attack these tasks. Women are like, I will start these 7 things,
Give me
and
all
then
these
I
things,
will
I'll
get
figure
there
it out.
eventually.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? How did
You'd
you
love
do that?
my morning calls with Taylor. It's like I'll come in asking questions about the days. It's like I'll start with one, and then she'll just basically answer that, and then like snowball and everything else. I'm like, I think we're good here.
Yeah.
I think
You
I
we're
have
nailed
good.
it.
nothing left to ask. Thank you. You've covered it all.
What time's lunch?
Speaking of lunch, we're almost there. We have 2 minutes left. What do we want to end this on? So we went through basically
Name of
everything.
my sex tape.
Oh my God, hilarious. Yeah, I'm gonna talk just the last. Let's like
It's
cast light into
10:15, yo.
let's cast light into the future here. Future of the industry. There will be more role specialization, more construction manager and general contractor
Jeff's going to
partnerships.
train an army of highly capable people
Yes,
and doers,
that's-
and we're
sorry.
going to train
I
an
want-
army of highly capable planners.
yes.
And then we're going to conquer the world.
And
Dude,
this
that's fucking
this
That's
is a great plan because consumers will continue to educate themselves.
Yes.
And so the demand for GCs to operate at a higher capacity,
Yeah.
to educate their consumers will be greater. It won't just be good enough to show them Instagram pictures saying this is what I've done in the past.
Right.
Well, I love how you got there, but how did you get there?
You know what's interesting is like I think that you made a point about how the trades and like you don't like having that designation is difficult to justify. It's like becoming a carpenter and getting your red seal and like well obviously it is because the market is showing us that there's this vacuum now that baby boomers are leaving. We don't have as many people going to trades as we need to. We have to make it more attractive somehow. But it's like it's the mix of skill sets. It's like knowing how to build a house, but then a little bit of business as well. It's like you have the overlap of independent, like different skill sets, and because they're mixed together, it makes them unique and therefore valuable, right? We got to figure out a way to attract more people to this, and I think that like it's got to be like like a team mentality. It's like
Yeah.
that camaraderie. It's like that like that brotherhood or sisterhood.
Because if you think about it, if we were doing the same thing and you were equally responsible for your own planning on your own projects and all that kind of shit, but like that's not your strength. If we remove what is not necessarily your strength or what is like the most time consuming and then takes up hours from doing other things that are more profitable for you or advantageous to the bigger picture, then it's like you shift buckets. It's like for us, that's a piece that you bring to the table. For you, it's a piece that we bring to the table. And then it helps to attract people who are in either camp mindset driven because you're creating an environment where people can learn well and right and in a positive way. And like you're building out that really substantial reputation of team and changing the industry on the trade side and therefore changing the undertone of what it feels like people are getting into. Because all people, these younger guys are hearing or younger girls or whoever, it's like how shitty construction is and how poorly it's led and how like all of the misconceptions.
I think what it is,
but
it's not selling the next generation on get a trade because it's a good business to have. It's get in this business because it's a good business to be in. So
Yes,
trades are
that's
fun. It's fun to work with your hands. That's what drew me into it. It's really fun. I love that I have a craft. But ultimately what I've learned is like this is an amazing industry. It's a good business to be in. I said something on a recent post that resonated with a lot of people, got a lot of engagement. And it was about, I did a development deal where I built 3 houses. And like a lot of my content along the way is building 3 houses at the same time, building 3 houses detailed, really talking to the trades. But then I said, I built 3 houses. And another way to look at it is I just did an $8 million real estate deal. And the amount of engagement that came at me was like crazy, because it's like the trade, the work, the hard work, the sweat, the blood, the tears is one thing, but the business side, saying an $8 million deal, and it's like that got the level of engagement. So I think what I want to start doing is selling to the next generation, join this business because it's an amazing business.
And if you can teach them how to do it right out of the gate, like they won't have any of our learning curves. They won't have any, like if we're teaching from a planning side and you're teaching from a teaching side, they're eliminating the learning curves. You're allowing this next generation of people to be more successful, to have more lucrative businesses without having the, you know, the mental taxation that we all went through in developing what we've developed. And like you're giving them that advantage to come into it with, you know, more profitability and less of the headache, and because we're teaching them right.
So hold on, can I recap that then?
Sure.
So our goal then is to like let's just say that, let's pat ourselves in the back and say that we're kind of on the cutting edge of like creating the next generation of people in this industry.
Yes. Agreed.
So then our job then is to make people get to this industry based on the fact that it's a financially feasible and wise decision for wealth and well-being to get involved with the trades. So then it's our job to create the mechanisms for people to make money.
Yeah.
I've been on a next podcast, I have an idea that it's been brewing for a very long time. It's in the pages of these books, and we've talked about it before, but I think I know a way. We need to make it competitive. And here's the truth. I'm going to say it really quick, and then I have to jump off because I have to go pee, but here it is.
Our bladder will be the dictator of when this ends.
Imagine I said to the people when they're building a house that essentially that like, you wouldn't pay your general contractor till the end of the project.
Oh, fuck. I can't get around this. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't have this conversation again.
Right? Based on their performance. If we could somehow quantify or create a mechanism where the trades were to participate in the profitability or their earnings based upon the execution or of the project itself, if that was somehow linked, if you aligned the values and if you align the goals of the client who are people who are investing in this with the people executing the work and somehow making those two things the same.
The stakes are high.
The stakes are high.
Like, yeah, but
people are in. And
how do you stop? How do you mitigate the risk? What about the clients that are predatory? What about the ones that are? Fuck you. You know, I'm not happy with that.
I don't know how to do it yet. But if we were somehow able to create that competition and create that alignment and create that joint accountability, and like only if the clients succeed, then the trade succeed, and those two end things meet.
If nothing else, create the mindset.
Yes.
That's all you need is that mindset.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the mindset. Actually, goosebumps. Maybe it's because I gotta go pee.
Probably.
That's 58
On
minutes,
that
guys.
note,
Yeah. All right.
That was episode 11.
10?
11.
We will see when it posts.
Yes. All right. Bye, guys.
Should be like, it's actually episode 12, bro.
All right. That's it.
Thanks, guys.